Welcome back. Let's get more now on the European Super League. No German sides have been included in this 12 of the so-called founding members. So let's now speak to Dietmar Hamann, who of course played for both Liverpool and Manchester City. Good afternoon to you, Didi. What's been the reaction then in Germany to this news of this 12 European Super League?
Yeah, hi, Vicky. Well, I think I was as surprised as most other people because we talked about that, reformation or reform of the Champions League in the last few weeks. So I think it came to all of us as a surprise when these 12 teams announced yesterday that they want to break away. But I think you heard it, in the studio in the last hour. You heard it from a lot of journalists, a lot of experts, a lot of fans. That I think 99.9% of football fans are opposed to that European Super League. And, the UEFA president, Seferin, made it very clear that these plans will be opposed by UEFA, by FIFA. And I'm in the same boat. I think the whole of Germany is in the same boat. And obviously we are very, I wouldn't say relieved is the wrong word, that no German clubs, support the idea of a European Super League.
Yeah, I think it's quite telling, isn't it, that no German team is part of it at the moment. Do you think the German fans would allow a breakaway European League? Because, of course, they play a big part in the running of the clubs there, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. Our clubs are structured, so we've got that 50+1 rule that at least 50% plus one share of the football clubs have to stay with a football club itself and with the fans, and so it's not that easy to join these proposed moves. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, the CEO of Bayern Munich, who retires at the end of this season, said all along in the last couple of years that they won't be part of a European Super League. Borussia Dortmund, Aki Watzke, their CEO, said today they don't want to be part. They won't be part of a European Super League. Because you heard it, there might be a lot of repercussions for these teams. Seferin says they won't be allowed to play in their domestic leagues. The players might not be allowed to play for the national teams, and obviously that's all in the open now. It's still early doors, but all I can say is that the German Football League, the German football fan is very surprised and also very opposed to the idea of this league.
And where would it leave the likes of Bayern Munich if it did go ahead? Because potentially we'd never see the likes, if Seferin goes ahead and, knocks everyone out of the domestic leagues, you'd never see the likes of Liverpool playing Bayern Munich or Real Madrid playing Bayern Munich. What would that do to Bayern Munich?
Well, I think the question, Vicky, should be what does the fan want? And does the fan want to see a league with 20 teams where 15 are seeded? There's no promotion, no relegation. We talk about, I think, 3.5 billion quid that goes to these teams to make up for losses through to the pandemic and to be used for infrastructure. I think we're in a time now where we need solidarity, and there's hundreds of clubs. If you look at England, if you look at the Football League sides, the Championship sides, all of these teams had losses, and I think it's a time now, or it was a time in the last 12 months, to come together, pull together, and make sure that all the smaller teams, or even the smaller teams, the smaller clubs, are helped financially or however you can help them, that when we are through the pandemic, which is hopefully very soon, things will be going on as normal. I think the German team won't be part of it. They don't want to be part of it. And I think it's important what the fan wants. And if you ask a fan if he wants to see the same games week in, week out, I don't think they want to see this. I want to see Manchester United against Bayern Munich or Barcelona against Borussia Dortmund when it's a quarter-final or a semi-final. I don't want to see it 5 or 6 times in a round-robin contest where it doesn't really matter how the game ends. We want to see these games when it actually matters. And I think we should be listening to the fan. I think a lot of things happened in the past where the fan wasn't asked, and I think we said in the last 12 months, football without fans is nothing. I think we saw it. I think everybody was complaining that it's not the same without fans in a stadium. Now, if we go ahead with a Super League, which nobody wants, least of all the football fan, I think that just shows that we go further and further apart from the fan. And when the fan eventually says, I'm not going to watch it no more, I don't buy a ticket to watch it, or don't buy a subscription for Sky, whoever wants to broadcast it, I think then we know that we are going down the wrong alley.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. Vote with your feet. Look, you played, of course, for Liverpool. You're part of their history, the 2005 Champions League final. Are you surprised that they're part of this group?
Well, I think surprise is the wrong term, or the wrong word. At Liverpool, a lot of things happened in the past which I didn't understand or didn't really agree with. There was the furloughing of the staff to ask for government money to put to pay the employees of Liverpool Football Club, which was taken back then, and they didn't ask for furlough. But if you look at the history of Liverpool, it's a working man's club, and if you know the people of Liverpool, the people pride themselves on being together, on sticking together. That was documented, over the years. If you know what happened after Hillsborough, the way that the whole city stuck together for 25, 30 years to get the truth. And this is what not only the football club but also the city prides itself on. And if you look at Shankly, what he said, Gary Neville very poignantly posted a quote from a speech of Shankly on one of his social media accounts, where it says, we have to look after everybody. If only us are well, or if we do well, we have to make sure the one next to us does well. And signing up for that Super League is against everything pretty much what Liverpool Football Club stands for. And if this is what Liverpool wants to be, if this is where they want to go, you may as well tear the Shankly statue down outside the football ground behind the Kop, because Liverpool Football Club always stood for helping each other, sticking together, being there for the people, being there for not only their employees, but for people in the city, for people outside the city. Whoever needed help, Liverpool Football Club was there. But I think that Football League is against everything Liverpool Football Club stands for. I'm not surprised by it, because the greed shown by some of the big clubs is evident in recent months, and especially in this chapter. But they should be listening to the fans, because I think the fans ask for the banners to be removed at Anfield for the next home game. And I think it's about time they listen to the fans, and it's about time football fans, not only Liverpool but also in England, get their football club back, because we've got a lot of American owners. The American model doesn't work in Europe, and I hope they understand it at some stage. And I just hope that everybody opposes that Super League, because I think Seferin said today it's the end of football. I don't think it's the end of football, but near enough.
Yeah, maybe the end of football as we potentially know it. Look, I just want to ask you, Didi, you may have spoken to a current player, I don't know today, but if you were a current player, how worried would you be right now that potentially your chance of playing in the Euros could be taken out of your hands if you're part of these, the so-called six?
Well, at the moment, it's a long way away. I know Seferin said today he's checking whether the three clubs who are in that association, whether they can be playing part or a part in the semi-final of the Champions League. I think the players, they signed a contract with the clubs, and I don't think you can punish these players now and say, well, you can't take part in the Euros in 2 or 3 months, or you can't take part in the World Cup in 18 months. I think I think this is further away that people might think. I think they want to start a Super League in 2 or 3 or 4 years' time. So I think it's quite some time away. But obviously, if we were to come to that Super League, you've got to make a decision. Do you play in the Super League, or do you want to play in the Super League, or you want to play in a domestic league and also represent your country in the national team? The answer for me would be an easy one. I think the domestic leagues is where we've been brought up. If you look at the historic games in the Premier League, in the Bundesliga, we look back at games between Manchester United and Liverpool, Manchester United and Leeds, Arsenal and Chelsea. These are the games people talk about for the next 2, 3, 4 decades. And then also you have the Champions League. And I think nobody wants to watch the same games or the same clubs year in, year out. I think it's the same for the players. you want to have a challenge. If there's no relegation or promotion, what do we actually play for? If not everybody can take part in a competition, it means it's not open to everyone and anyone. And I think most players will think accordingly, or will probably think pretty much down the line as I just mentioned. But then again, it's their decision. But the domestic leagues, I think, is the bread and butter of football. This is where all the kids watch football every Saturday, and but it might come down to a decision or to a situation where players have to make a decision. But then again, hopefully it won't go that far, because I think everybody I spoke to opposes that Super League, and I hope that these 12 clubs get stopped in their tracks.
OK. Just finally, Didi, of course, it's been a busy day of sports news. Jose Mourinho has been sacked. Were you surprised by the timing of this, given the fact that they're just 6 days away until the League Cup final?
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing these days, yes, trophies are important, but if you ask Daniel Levy now, does he want to get in the Champions League or does he want to win the League Cup? He will probably say, well, I think financially the Champions League is more important to the football club than the League Cup. They lost touch really with the top four in recent weeks. I'm not too surprised at the timing, because there's only a few games left. So he probably thought, if you want to get into the top four, we've got to change something now. And obviously the League Cup final on Saturday is a bonus. And I hope we see him at some stage soon. I said a few months ago, Spurs might be a contender if they're still in the mix come March or April. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. But, I hope that we see him again, because when Mourinho is in the mix towards the end of the season, it always makes it a bit more special. And, I hope we see him again. But he's been to a few clubs now. But, I'm sure there's one who will take him on soon.